create these cards using a section. So let's create CSS codes for changes related to this section. For that, I type as section in the 11th line of the style.css section and apply curly brackets in front of it. Between that, in the 12th line, I give as display colon flex semicolon, and in the 13th line, flex dash direction colon row semicolon. With that, the 4 cards we create in a section are arranged crosswise on the screen. Now I am creating the CSS codes required for a flip card. For that, from the 15th line, .flip dash card, open curly brackets, and it is given as margin colon 100px, 50px, 50px, 40px, semicolon inside it. We have created the size of the margin that should be around a card that we create. Now we need to tell the length and the width of the card. For that, to specify the size of the card, from the 17th line, I give as width colon 400px semicolon and height colon 300px semicolon from the 18th line. Now I am going to create the same CSS code to create the back part of the flip card. For that, I give as .flip dash card dash inner from line 20 and give curly brackets. Now in between that, in 21st line, it is given as position colon relative semicolon, and in line 22 width colon 100% semicolon is given. Now from the 23rd line, it is given as height colon 100% semicolon. Now from the 24th line, it is typed as text dash align colon center semicolon. Now we need to create the transform style of this card. For that, from the 25th line, I give as transform dash style colon preserve dash 3D semicolon. Now let's create the CSS codes for the transformation that should happen when the mouse is moved to the front view of this card and when the mouse is moved to the back view. For that, from the 27th line, it is given as .flip dash card colon hover and keep a space. Then give as .flip dash card dash inner. Now open the curly brackets, and in between that, in the 28th line, it is given as transform colon rotate y and open the brackets, and 180 deg is given inside it, and apply a semicolon outside the bracket. I taught about these transitions in a previous lesson. Now from the 29th line, it is given as transition colon is 1.5s semicolon. The time for the transition is set as 1.5 seconds. Now let's adjust the front and the back positions of this card correctly. For that, in the 31st line, I give as .flip dash card dash front comma .flip dash card dash back and apply curly brackets. In between that, in the 32nd line, it is typed as position colon absolute semicolon. Now from line 33, it is given as backface dash visibility colon hidden semicolon. Now since we need to give a shadow around this card, from the 34th line, I give as box dash shadow colon and 10px and keep a space and give again as 10px. It's right if we can see the shadow on the right side and bottom of the card here. For that, we have to create this shadow 10 pixels to the right and 10 pixels below the current position of the card. I will take the output and explain further. Now to adjust the color of this shadow RGBA, put brackets and 77, 71, and 58, 0.1 is given inside it and a semicolon is applied outside this bracket. 0.1 is the amount needed to see the shadow. If we give 0 here, it will disappear. If you give 1, it will look very well. 0.1 is an intermediate value between no much or less visibility. Let's take the output and see. Now we have to create the back of this card. For that, from the 36th line, I give as .flip dash card dash back and open the curly brackets, and in between that, in the 37th line, I give the required code to make the back color of the card as background dash color colon black semicolon. If we do not provide this color, the background color of the card will be the same color as the background, typed as position colon absolute semicolon. Now from the line 39, it is given as backface dash visibility colon hidden semicolon. This means not to show the back of this card at this time. We also provided this in the design of the front of the card. That means that when the front of the card is shown, the back is hidden, and when the card is turned the other way, it means that the front is hidden, when the back is visible. We have to see these after taking the output. Now in the 40th line, I give as transform colon rotate y and open brackets, and it is given as 180 DEG close bracket inside it, and apply a semicolon outside the bracket. Now there is a code behind each of our cards. Let's create codes related to this code. In this 42nd line, H3 and apply curly brackets. Between these brackets in 43rd line, it is typed as text dash align colon center semicolon. Now to set the size of the letters in the 44th line, it is given as font dash size colon 20px semicolon. Now to adjust the color of the letters, color colon RGB open brackets enter as 167, 227, 249 inside it, and apply a semicolon outside the bracket. Now to enter the font dash family colon inside the quotation, it is given as shadow into light 2, apply a semicolon at the end. Now we are done creating the CSS codes.